Well, I've been invited here to tell you a little bit about our Minnesota North 212 Voluntary PRRS Elimination project. And I just thought I want to start with making a few acknowledgments, particularly the University of Minnesota, Monsetori Morel and Bob Morrison, who have been my mentors and kind of my most immediate supervisors. Minnesota Pork Board has been a very generous sponsor. I'd like to thank them. In the past, we've also had sponsors from Boehringer Ingelheim, the PRRS Cap Fund, and then particularly the sporting veterinarians who've gone out and helped us market this project, encourage their clients to participate, and then the participating producers. So what I'd like to do this morning is just go through some of the things about where we've been, where we are, the challenges that we're experiencing, and then hopefully where we're going. This project began in 2004 with the Stevens County area, a unique program because it's a voluntary, producer-led, coordinated disease control program. And this is unique because most disease elimination or eradication efforts began with producer sentiment but implemented by state and government. And this is a voluntary program. It expanded again in 2009 to the surrounding 6 counties. And then I stepped on board in 2010 when we took on the entire area north of 212. So this is Stevens County in western Minnesota. These are the surrounding 6 counties. And then this is generally the line north of 212. This has been historically the way the state has been divided up when we've done other eradication efforts such as pseudorabies, tuberculosis, and that sort of thing. We have included this area right around in here, Renville County, as well, because biologically it's very involved with Candido High and that area. So the goals of our project have been to, first of all, identify the swine herds in the area, to invite participation by signing a participation agreement, which basically means that producers are asked to share their PRRS status with one another. We want to determine the PRRS status of each of the herds, and then encourage elimination if the herd is positive, and encourage improved biosecurity if the herd is negative. And this is a challenge because when we talk about biosecurity, what we want to do is warn people about the concerns that we have, but without establishing a paranoia of too much extreme behavior. So, this is one of 30 other projects that are going on. Many of these are sponsored and encouraged by Boehringer Ingelheim, and I got this slide from Jean-Paul Cano. And you can see based on pig density, their projects are called ARC&E, or Area Regional Control and Elimination. And the decision that they made for each area is based on swine density and PRRS prevalence. In the very big hotbed area of PRRS, it's mainly going to be an effort to control, whereas in some of these outlying areas, and we're right in the edge of swine density in that area, we have to choose whether we're going to attempt to control and whether to eliminate. And this is an ongoing discussion. So I'll just tell you a little bit about Stevens County. Back in 2004, this is where it began, and the color code here, blue is unknown, green is negative, and red is positive. So back in 2004, there was quite a bit of PRRS in the area. In 2006, it progressed a little bit. We had more producers participate. And in 2012, if you look at this map, it's just, we felt we were really doing great because we have a lot of green, virtually no red in the area. We felt that we were well on our way to eliminating from this area. We changed the MAT legend to accommodate the AASV categories. So the big change that you'll see here is that pink is now unknown rather than blue, but green is negative and red is still positive, and then we have different shades in between. This is the way the map looks in Stevens County as of quite recent. And you'll see that now all of a sudden we have a number of red dots in the area. We've had some setbacks. This last 2 months has been very disappointing because we've had several new outbreaks. Spencer Wayne from the Pipestone Clinic put together some of our area background. and we've got 5 different viruses that have been identified in the region, so including vaccine virus. So we've got some of those things that are an issue, and we're learning basically how to cope with that again. This is the map in general. We've got basically 4 different areas way in northern Minnesota where things are scattered and spread out. We got this rice area, which is right here. This is the Stevens County area. And then down here is Candy, Ohio, and Renville, which is very swine dense. So just looking at some of those different areas, the rice area, pretty much green still. The producers are spread out, so the impact of one to another is not quite as critical, but we're still in pretty good shape there. This is the Candy, Ohio, Renville area. We're still having difficulties getting producers on board. That's perhaps our biggest challenge there, but the prevalence of PRRS in this area is quite intense. It's much like southern Minnesota, where we have lots of PRRS circulating. So this is our progress report from 2009, early on. We've identified a lot more sites. We've got a little more than half of them with signed participation agreements, so we're increasing participation. Unfortunately, we're moving in higher identified PRRS sites, but we're also increasing the negative sites as we identify more new arrivals. And the unknown numbers are shrinking. So this has been our challenge. It's a very ambitious project. We've got over 13,000 square miles, 1 million pigs, and over 1,000 farms, according to the 2000 Ag Census. So it's a big project to try to manage. So what have we learned? First of all, outbreak lessons, particularly in light of this last, more recent outbreak situation. One of the things that we're trying to do is manage behavior. When people are willing to give up their confidentiality and let other people know what the status of their herd is, the tendency, human nature, is to withdraw or make accusations or become paranoid about who you're going to visit with socially. And we've attempted to respond to that by putting together a suggested response to an outbreak to explain that, we can't go into this situation by accusing that or find out who's to blame. We need to encourage cooperation. We thought that we were pretty well going on this, and hopefully that will continue. But my experience has been that if we prepare people for the possibility of an outbreak and how you might respond in the future, it might turn out to be more positive and constructive rather than destructive, and that's what we're trying to work on. We've learned a fair amount about viral spread. In this particular area in Stevens County, we had a number of herds that had not seen PRRS in some time, and so they were immunologically probably not real competent, and when we got some new viruses in there, they really exploded in a bad way. So Kurt is going to be talking about our sequencing ideas to try to figure this out, but we're learning about that. We also, though, have learned about the value of cooperation. It was really encouraging to me that at our last couple of meetings in Morris, we've had big turnouts, and we've had responses from people that are in feed delivery, designating special trucks, even so far as to identify which sequence are positive, trying to just deliver to those sites first, negative trucks to negative sites, and positive to positive. We also had people arriving that are delivering propane and trying to work out and finding out who's positive, who's negative, so we can have designated trucks to those sites. So that, I think, is a real positive sign. The challenges that we have, it's primarily related to size, I think. We certainly have the continued reluctance to participate, and if somebody has a bad experience with it, they're not going to be very eager to continue to do that. So we need to continue to respond to that. It's difficult to communicate site status changes to the communicator, to the coordinator. I'm the coordinator. I can only report what I hear. And when we've got 800 sites, 400 participants, it's a bit of a challenge to get that information directly. We have a lack of regular surveillance testing. It's a voluntary operation, and we just want to know when there's a site status change. But if there's no clinical signs, we still need to test periodically or in the face of some event, for example, like prior to spreading manure. And then the other main challenge is sustainable financing. We've had good support in the past. It's a producer-driven project, so we need to know how are we going to sustain this in the future. So our plans, I'll get 5 minutes. First of all, we want to intensify efforts to encourage participants. We've sent out mailings. We've had a lot of support from Minnesota pork producers to help with that. One of the ideas that I stole from Jean-Paul and Beringer in their larger projects is the idea of a local champion. I'll comment briefly about that. We're working to coordinate efforts with the Minnesota Vet Diagnostic Lab to compile a dendrogram and keep track of the different sequences so we know where this thing is coming from, might be able to figure out why it arrived. And then we're continuing to coordinate our efforts to get regular PRRS reporting. That's been stymied because we need to know who's a participant and who isn't, and that really boils down to identifying the site identification using premise IDs, and that's been a little challenging for us. And then we're continuing our cooperative relationship with pork producers to educate, such as seminars like we're doing today, and I basically say yes to any request to go out and preach the gospel of PRRS elimination if invited. So this is a dendrogram. We got about 40 sequences. There's a few more now recently. We're just compiling those. This local champion idea is just a way to, an attempt to reduce the numbers of people that have to communicate. We want to facilitate and improve communication between the producers and the coordinator. We're probably using a local champion to represent a particular sow cluster or neighborhood or a flow. The ideal person is one who would be an advocate, who believes in the project, somebody who's got a vested interest, for example, somebody who owns or manages a sow out farrowing operation would be most likely, someone who networks with the area producers, who's a conscientious communicator, who's willing to email regularly, and probably most likely be either an owner or a trusted employee. Somebody who does have the time to communicate but still knows the operation. Job description would be to maintain regular contact with producers within this particular area, encourage participation, encourage producers to come forward if they have signs of PRRS and to encourage them to test if they do, and then report the changes to the coordinator. Just like to leave you with, this is my favorite quote. I read it in a magazine a couple years ago. Unspoken expectations are resentments in waiting. And I like it because it relates to our personal lives, whether we're talking to spouses or children or employees as far as managing what we're expecting of our employees, or in this case, PRRS. And the bottom line is we need to continue to communicate.